Hey, Tony.
Hey, Joe.
What are you wearing?
Oh, it's a stitched-together monstrosity created by a madman.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about Frankenstein.
Sure.
Yeah, now, I know we talk about tapes and movies on this show, and you have a podcast, Movie Dumpster.
I do.
We have some of your merch over here.
Oh.
Yes, where you talk about movies, but I want to do something different. I figure me and you could start a book club.
You know what? Why not? Let's
Yeah,
do it.
why not? So you know what? I have my copy of Frankenstein that I stole from my 5th grade school because I spilled hot chocolate on it and I didn't want to get yelled at, so I kept it. And you have a copy there.
I do, thank you.
And we're just gonna, we're gonna sit here for the next like 4 hours reading this, and we'll report to each other when we're done. Okay?
Yeah,
So
no, that sounds good.
Yeah, let's start. All right, this is boring. Let's just watch one of the movies.
No, let's talk about the movie instead.
Which movie do you want to do? There's a lot of them. Do you have a particular one you want to talk about?
Yeah, actually I do.
Okay.
So you've seen the original, right?
Yes, I've seen the original.
It's a great flick, right?
Great.
Yeah, classic.
Yes, classic.
Why don't we talk about this movie?
Frankenstein Unbound.
Roger Corman's Frankenstein Unbound.
This is a movie I saw once as a kid. And I remember, like, flipping through, like, digital cable, it gives you, like, the information. I see John Hurt, Raul Julia, however I pronounce it this week. Frankenstein movie.
All-stars cast, dude.
And I'm like, oh, great. A Frankenstein movie with those two? That sounds great. And I remember I flipped to the channel. It had already, like, started. So I missed the beginning.
Okay.
And I remember sitting there and be like...
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm sitting there and I'm watching it. And I'm like, John Hurt's got a car, but it's like the 1800s. Yeah. I'm like, all right, this is weird. And then then the car started talking to him.
It's baby, man.
Yeah, and I'm like, huh? And then I like realized, I soon put together that it was about time travel. And I'm like, oh no, what is this movie? So I actually really enjoy this movie. And on your podcast, was this your first episode? Because you reference this almost every episode.
This film is the Big Bang of the MDU, okay?
Yes. Right.
So I host a show called Movie Dumpster.
Yes.
And within that is the MDU, which is the Movie Dumpster universe.
Yes.
Where everything is connected. Every movie in existence is connected in some weird way somehow. Yeah. And the lore book is like this giant, like never-ending story thing that keeps writing and rewriting itself. Yeah. All because of John Hurt and his invention in this film.
Right.
I think we did it was the 10th episode of the first season, and we're on the 3rd season now. So that's how long ago it was.
And every time I listen to your podcast, you guys always bring it up, and I'm just like, for like a year now, I'm like, I really want to watch Frankenstein Unbound again.
Dude, everything is his fault. It's John Hurt's fault.
Yes.
Because he's messing with time and space.
So this is brought to us by Roger Croman, and it's the rare directed by Roger Corman film.
The last film to be directed by Roger Corman.
Because what was his previous movie before that? Like the 70s, right? He's more of a producer than a director, really.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was like, when I saw Roger Corman directed, I'm like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on, I'm used to seeing Roger Corman's name on movies. I'm not used to seeing director. I'm like, all right, now I'm into this.
For sure.
And apparently in my research, he's not credited, but Ed Neumeyer, who helped write RoboCop, did some unscripted rewrites on this.
I would like to know which parts.
Yeah, me too.
That's pretty interesting.
Well, it's got to be the future stuff, right? It's got to be the future stuff.
Is it the stuff between? Yeah, right. Like I don't know. We'll get into it. Yeah.
But when I was watching the credits, I noticed Bridget Fonda's name, and then it hit me. I've not seen her. She hasn't been in a movie in like over a decade.
No, like we were talking about before, like the last thing I saw her in was like Lake Placid or Singles.
Or for me, it was Kiss of the Dragon.
I never saw
the Jet Li movie.
Yeah,
that was like the last big movie she did. Yeah, she married Danny Elfman and just like disappeared.
Which is bonkers to me. I didn't know that, and I'm like, oh, okay, sure.
But then I saw an American hero in the credits, Jason Patric, the star of the superior Speed 2 Cruise Control. I don't give a shit what Kieran says. Speed 2 Cruise Control is the best Speed movie, and Jason Patric puts Keanu Reeves to shame, okay?
He's also Michael in The Lost Boys.
Yes, he's the best Lost Boys.
Right? It's, what's funny? Like, when we did it for MD, like, That totally just washed over me. Like, I didn't even realize.
He's also, what's-his-face's son? The Damien from The Exorcist, the priest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's his son.
No shit.
He's aging better than his dad.
I
he's
think
not
so.
a raging alcoholic, so... okay, so let's get into this movie.
Let's do it.
So it opens up, you know, the way... a way a Frankenstein movie should, with like a cold setting, because that's how the book opens up, and that's how the Kenneth Branagh film opened up.
Sure.
And you're like, okay, so this is like, you know, Frankenstein, you know, toward the end, and the flashes back, and nope, it's a dystopian future.
With Obi-Wan Kenobi walking through its desert, man. With
John Hurt going, I don't know where I am, Einstein screwed up. So then we do get a flashback, and to 2031. So we still got some time. We have like a little over a decade until this happens.
A little bit.
John Hurt has made a death ray that can shrink things out of existence.
Supposedly.
Yeah. Little problem with that though. And they point out, they're like, hey, there's like weird time slips and like weather's changing and things are like the president's wearing. He's like, well, just tell him when you remove things from existence, you know, it's like a hole that gets filled and time tries to catch up. He is so nonchalant about this.
Oh, dude, this whole film, he's just like, well, I fucked up, sorry.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, you know.
What does he say? He's like, he wanted a weapon, so I made him a weapon, and that's all she wrote.
No, there's a little bit more that she wrote. Like, you're breaking the fabric of space-time here. He
mentions, like, oh yeah, we just shrink it down and it just goes somewhere. I don't know.
Oh God, you hit Robot Bride of Frankenstein helmet. Yeah, he's just like, it's not my problem where it goes. It's like, yeah, but there's a cloud in the sky.
A giant rift in time and space just hovering over his house.
All right, so then he goes home while talking to his robot car.
Baby man.
Yeah, is that what this name is? Did it have a name?
He calls it baby like 4 or 5 times throughout the whole film.
Hello, baby. Oh
he's like, hey, baby.
I am tracking intruders on your property. Shall I call security?
Don't worry, baby. It's just neighborhood children.
And this one was like bizarre to me. He gets to his house and there's kids burying their bicycle in his front yard because they have a new future bike. I want to point out this is based off a novel. I did not read the novel.
No,
maybe that's something
we haven't either. Symbolism.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty crazy, but not as crazy as Attila the goddamn Hun coming out of the sky.
Dude, he shoots down like one of the Dark Lords from Howard the Duck.
Yes!
He comes out and he just to scare the shit out of him.
Some barbarian comes out of the cloud. And the first thing he does is like, well, I have to kill everyone I see.
Exactly.
He throws like a spear and then gets sucked into the cloud.
But it's so fleeting, right?
I wasn't expecting,
It's one of those things where like, okay, so obviously this is leading up to John Hurt getting sucked into this hole.
Yeah.
But you think he's gonna get spit out in all different, like he's gonna hop through time to different periods.
No.
Just one.
I want to know the movie of that barbarian. I want to know what else what happened to him afterwards.
Sign me up for that one.
What famous story did he go into?
Dracula.
Yeah.
Wherein Dracula's a real guy.
He just rides into Dracula's castle, saves Jonathan Harker with the spear.
And Bram Stoker's sitting there going, yeah. And
Attila. We're jumping ahead. Okay, so John Hurt gets sucked back into time with his car.
Yes.
And he's all like, hey, car, hook me up to the internet. Let's see what's going on. She's like, hey, there ain't no internet. And he's like, well, what's the satellite say? He's like, there's no fucking satellite.
He goes, bring up the television. I'm like, you just asked it if there was a satellite.
Yeah.
What makes you think there's television?
Yeah. I mean, I guess he's going backwards.
Sure.
Yeah.
But not one satellite at all.
Yeah. So he's talking to it kind of like I talk to my, like, Amazon Alexa.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's having better luck than I am, so... Sometimes, the other day, I think I was like, hey, can you set alarm for this? And then it just started playing a song that sounded nothing like what I said.
I'm not into that. Like,
you know what I mean?
I don't do the whole Alexa Siri thing.
Oh, I love it. I love it except for when it does that shit. Except for when I, like, ask it quietly something and it starts blasting music at 4 in the morning. I'm like, thanks. John Hurt, he decides to go into town because... he's clearly never read anything about time travel.
You have a scientist
Yeah.
And one of, like, the top minds. This man was working for the president.
Yeah.
Making weapons of, like, mass destruction.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, well, I'm back in time.
Yeah, let me walk into town with my...
Get a drink and what? Sample the local cuisine? Like,
yeah, in my modern wardrobe. And I'm like, all right, I think you're... Hold on. Like, I'm used to, like, time travel people being a little bit more, like, worried. And then he walks into town, he sees a bunch of dead sheep. And he's all like, wonder what that's about. Anyway, let me go in. It's like, whoa.
Hell of a thing.
So he goes in, and he orders a drink and stuff, and he meets Dr. Victor Frankenstein.
Raul Julia himself.
Yes, because when I think of Swiss doctor from famous Swiss family with the last name Frankenstein, I know I'm gonna cast the Puerto Rican guy who can't drop his accent.
Absolutely.
Having said that, though, he's a great actor, and it doesn't matter.
No, for sure.
How many times has Dr. Frankenstein been British? It doesn't matter.
A lot.
Yes.
He's great in this film. I mean,
yeah, he's really
a little sleepy.
Yeah, I want to talk about it toward the end, like
Okay.
what my hope was. But no,
Sure.
he's good in this. But then, like, it's kind of like John Hurt's like not shocked. Like, well, he's shocked to meet Victor Frankenstein, but he's like, oh, like the person in the book. I must be back in time. I'm like, wait, was this a historical thing that happened? And then you find out that it was. But before that, he follows Victor Frankenstein.
Yes.
And
I just want to bring up one thing.
Yes.
He's, again, like, to bring up the nonchalantness of him just walking through time.
Yeah.
Or in the past, like, it's no big deal. He, like, has a watch on. Like, a digital watch, and it, like, beeps, and Victor Frankenstein's like, what is that? Is that your timepiece?
Is that your timepiece?
Yeah,
oh,
check it out.
No hands or anything. He's like, yeah, look at it.
Beep, beep. Here you go.
Yeah, it's like electricity runs on it.
How did this electricity get in this small little device?
Yeah, oh, it's a digital screen. He's like, digital?
Is it mercury in there or what?
Like, dude, John Hurt, have you not, like, heard of the butterfly effect? Like, what is that famous story? The sound of thunder?
Or a butterfly flaps its wings in one place and...
I think there's a story called Sound of Thunder that's all about that. Or just watch the Ashton Kutcher movie. I mean, it's not very good, but you'll get the idea of what you're not supposed to do.
Watch Back to the Future.
Yeah, Back to the Future. It's a good... You're in a movie about time travel with a great car. I think you know about Back to the Future.
The whole movie... That whole movie's about Marty, like, instilling the fact that he exists. So it's the same kind of thing where, like, if you change any little thing...
Usually time travel stuff, it's usually about people trying to either fuck with the future on purpose.
Sure.
To prevent something or cause something, like Terminator.
Yeah.
Or to, like, try not to mess up the timeline. And this one, John Hurt's like, hey, everyone watch, look at my watch!
Look, here's caution, there's the wind.
Yeah,
that's it.
So stupid.
He just wants to have fun. He wants to get dressed up in period clothing, get some autographs.
So he runs into, he sees Frankenstein run into the forest, and he meets the creature.
He sure does.
He sure does. And then he gets, like, knocked out. So this is, like, after the monster has already been created, and it's already killed his brother.
The kid, yeah.
So we're, like midway, I guess, through the Frankenstein novel.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, he gets knocked out.
He gets knocked out, and then he gets one of many dream sequences where, like, everyone is dead, and then he's like, he sees the Grim Reaper, who's just him, I think, in makeup.
Yeah, well, he even sees himself at one point. He looks like Bela Lugosi. He's all gold.
Yeah. But, like, it's like, I know what they're trying to do, and it's like, wow, this is really on the nose.
Yeah, but it's also one of those things, like, I feel like I need to read the book to put those pieces together.
The Unbound book?
Yes.
I'm like,
No,
I thought you were going to read Frankenstein. I'm like,
no.
Spoiler, it's not in there.
You mean John Hurt's not in here?
No, John Hurt's not in there. You know who also is not in the book? The author, Mary Shelley.
Oh, yeah, that's something. Or Lord Byron.
Yeah.
Or Shelley, the poet.
So, yeah, he goes to, like, a trial, for some reason, for a guy who's accused. He's saying that he knows who's killing his sheep, and it's Giant Man.
Yeah.
And then a girl is on trial because she had, like, the jewelry from, like, a boy who got killed.
Yeah, well, Justine is, like, I think, one of the caretakers. In the book, she's, like, the caretaker for Frankenstein's kid or something.
I think so.
Same kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, I love this part because the old man's like, no, I saw a monster. And he has the fucking footprint. And he's like, okay, let's see it. And he, like, picks it up and it just all falls apart.
What did he expect to happen?
It's just, That tickled me so much. And he's like, see, stupid.
Yeah, and then this asshole, John Hurt. By the way, I love John Hurt, the actor.
Oh, no, absolutely.
What's his name?
R.I.P.
Is it Buchanan? John Buchanan?
Joe
Buchanan. Okay.
Creator of the Buke Cannon.
The Buke.
Yes.
Anyway, so he's like, oh, is that seat next to that pretty girl open? And he's all like, well, that's so-and-so's mistress.
You mean that Mary Shelley? You mean Mary Shelley?
Yeah, he's like, Mary Shelley, the writer of Frankenstein? Like, he basically says that.
Yeah.
He's all like,
You mean Mary Shelley? They are not married. Perhaps not. But she's a great writer.
so he's aware, by the way, he's aware of Frankenstein, the novel.
No, he's like a huge fan
and
of
now
Frankenstein, the novel.
Now he knows that these events are historical, which shocks me that he did not know that. And instead of being like, it sucks, but I have to let this play out because he's all like, well, I gotta save this broad that I don't even know and never talk to.
I guess because like if he knows the outcome of the book, he literally takes no steps to prevent anything that's going to happen.
Yeah. And also, we have like a Marty McFly creating rock and roll moment here.
Sure.
He's kind of like, throughout the movie, he's like telling Mary Shelley about her future and the story. And also, so it being like based on like real life stuff and having this guy tell her future, it kind of takes away the fact that Mary Shelley was this brilliant woman who came up with this entire genre. And it just makes it look like she was just recording what happened.
Exactly.
And was getting ideas from other people.
Not only was she recording just like the events that were happening, but she literally had John Hurt come and tell her
about everything.
You're gonna write this great book. And you're gonna, guess what? You're gonna, congratulations, because you're gonna get married.
Yeah.
To Shelley.
Oh my God. Well, again, it's so hard not to skip ahead because there's so much insanity in this movie. So we see Frankenstein's monster again. Raul Julia goes to kill him, and it's on the cover.
Oh yeah.
God, look at this. Look at this. So this is in the movie. That's what the monster's eyes look like, which means that I get that he has to stitch together the monster.
Sure.
I get that.
Does this give him X-ray vision or something?
I don't know. He couldn't find eyeballs that were intact. He had to stick. How many eyeballs?
Three.
4,
so technically.
He has to stitch 4 pieces of an eye together to make one eye. Why? What the hell?
From a FX point of view, the contacts are really cool.
Yeah, but then you think about it,
and then
you're
it's like, that's really stupid.
You actually stitch the eye. Everyone knows my eye thing. I sliced my eyeball a few years ago. That hurts. I can't imagine having stitches in my eye 24/7. That really would hurt.
Is that why he's so grumpy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That probably would. Dude, that was the worst year of my life. I wouldn't blame him. Other than that, though, the monster looks good.
No, I think the effects in this movie are really cool.
Yeah, I like the discs coming out of his head.
Yeah, it's weird.
I'm fine. It's different than the bolts.
Sure.
So,
I'm with it. And it makes sense because it's like in the brain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's like his pinkies are thumbs. There's something weird going on with this.
We bring that up on the episode too because it's like he cut it. Okay, this man is stitching eyeballs together.
Yeah.
And what he's putting thumbs on pinkies. I don't know. What's the logic there?
You know what? We didn't. I know he's not in the book, but you know, maybe there was an Igor character that helped and didn't do a good job.
Yeah, John. It was John. He's the Igor character.
You murdered my brother.
Murdered?
You stopped his life.
He was easily crushed.
So I get what this movie is trying to do. It's like, wow, Joe Buchanan, John Hurt, he is a scientist whose creation has gotten out of control and he shouldn't have been attempting, and it's going to cause like repercussions for all mankind. And Frankenstein is also a scientist who tampered with nature and now his creation's out of control. Here's the difference. Like, I get they're related, that's what they're trying to do.
Surface level, at best.
There's 2 very big differences. Frankenstein made a zombie you made one zombie out of human parts that could probably get killed pretty easily.
Yeah.
I think the problem is not enough people found him in it was hard to find him.
Sure.
I feel like
he's very quick, as we find out later.
He is very quick, but if Frankenstein was like in the city and you had enough guns, take him out.
Sure. Or just light him on fire.
So I get it. I get, like, you know, now the mysteries of reanimating the dead, but it's really complicated.
Yeah.
John Hurt ripped a goddamn hole in multiple holes in space and time and is displacing characters from different eras and throwing them around the universe, and the entire universe is going to be destroyed.
Exactly.
One zombie? maybe someone would find his research and recreate it.
It's fixable.
Guy destroyed the...
It's fixable. You can't fix all the shit that's happening from John Hurt's gun.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't think these... I think you need to do a different scientist. I don't know if Frankenstein is the one you want to do.
Well, I wanted to touch on that because, like, they're the same at this very surface level, right?
Yeah.
And you could say, like, it's a morality thing, and at one point, you know, you're playing God by creating life.
Yeah.
You could also say he's playing God by, like, tampering with time and space, but I feel like those are two totally different
They're
things.
two different playing gods.
Yeah.
They're
two different playing gods. Yeah. And they don't...
If John Hammond from Jurassic Park time traveled to this movie, that would be more relatable.
Yes!
That's bringing things back to life. And, you know, it's kind of different, but that's kind of in tune.
Man. So if John Hurt was a genetic scientist, I see that would have been a better plot, right? And he got sucked into a time warp by accident by, like, his colleague.
Yeah.
Like, hey, come in here and help me with this time machine or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think you can do a Frankenstein time travel movie. Anyway, besides this one, it's great. Raul Julia and John Hurt, they're great in this.
John's fantastic in this film.
John's character is awful.
Oh yeah, no, he's a piece of shit.
But, like, they are both, with the material they're handed, they're doing way better than they have any right to be.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's just one of those things where you have these two classically trained actors, and you're like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, and they could have phoned it in.
No,
they
for
could
sure.
have 100% phoned this in, made it a paycheck, but they didn't.
Because it's such a serious thing. Like, you know, when you think of Raul Julia and you think of, like, Addams Family and stuff, like, okay, that's obviously a comedy movie and he's playing it up, but, like, this is supposed to be, like, this dead serious thing of this, like, morality tale and stuff. And I don't know, they're taking it really seriously.
They're taking it really seriously for a movie that is Back to the Future with Frankenstein. The monster has this, like, reoccurring thing. Like, he doesn't understand his existence. Like, he knows he was created by Victor.
Right.
And he's not really getting how other people are created. I don't know where they got his brain from. But yeah,
Abby Normal?
Yeah, Abby Normal. But yeah, he goes to, like, the kids, and he's like, who created you?
That's one of the funniest bits in the film. Because he's just yelling at these little kids, and he's just like, did Victor create you too?
It's like, hey, guy, not everyone knows who Victor... Also, he doesn't know what murder is, even though he's done it.
Yeah.
Because going back, he was like, you murdered him. He's like, murder? And then 5 seconds later, he gets it. He's like, I will murder Elizabeth. But then a cop comes up to him and starts whistling.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't handle the whistling. It's like, wow, you gave him real shitty ears, Dr. Frankenstein. And he fucking punches the cop's heart.
Stop that.
Now, is this in the original book? Because I recently watched the De Niro Kenneth Branagh Frankenstein, and I think he punches Elizabeth's heart out in that version. Yeah.
I don't know.
Now I want to know, because this is before was Kenneth Branagh watching this and being like,
probably. Oh, that's a good idea.
But it might be in the novel. I'm not sure. It's been, we stopped reading the novel after a minute to talk about the shitty movie.
I don't recall him punching somebody's heart out. I mean, probably.
That's funny that there's two different Frankenstein movies that have hearts being punched out. Joe Buchanan, a creator of the Buchanan.
Yes.
He told, like, Raul Julia, he's like, Frankenstein, he's like, hey, look, that girl's gonna get hung. You know the truth. Please just write a thing for me to give to the judge. And he's all like, I will write it, but don't give it to the judge. Give it to my fiance. She's friends with the judge. And then
who doesn't have my best interest at all.
Yeah, so then he gives the thing to the fiance, and she's like, oh, well, I'm leaving. He's like, but we gotta save the girl. And she's like, what girl? Like, isn't it in the letter? And he's like, no, this letter tells me to get out of town. So Frankenstein kind of screws him over.
I've been duped.
So it turns out in 2031, your car's internal computer will have every work of literature ever on it, and it will have a printer that will have enough paper to print out Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
I'm convinced that you could cut a tree down and just like put it in the trunk and it would convert it all within itself into paper.
So he's reading like the thing and it's so dumb. And then he goes to see Mary Shelley. Because again, his whole thing, by the way, he has not met the woman he's trying to save. He has not talked to her.
Well, he talked to her at the courthouse, but now he's just creeping on her.
A little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, I gotta go talk to Lord Byron. And let me tell you, I'm so glad that hack Keanu Reeves did not play Lord Byron, because Jason Patrick plays him perfectly, and Keanu Reeves would have only fucked it up. Didn't you see Bram Stoker's Dracula? He can't do an accent, but Jason Patrick can do an accent.
He can, but he's more like Jim Morrison in this film. He's like, yeah, man, come to my mansion and we can drink morphine and eat breakfast.
So, my history's a little rough. Did it, like, so these are all real people, Lord Byron.
As far as I know.
And then Shelley.
Well, Shelley's a poet. Lord Byron, I believe, was a poet
so wasn't there, like, a thing where Mary Shelley kind of, like, wrote the book because she broke up from Byron or someone?
They all did live together. That's a thing.
Okay.
And they all had sex together. That's also a thing.
Oh, that is a thing.
That's a thing.
I thought it was weird in the movie, and I'm like, is there, like, a poly thing going on?
Well, I think, like, even... in like Little History it says that, but even Baby says it before. She's like, oh yes, and by the way, it's Mary Shelley, a wife of Shelley the poet and mistress to Lord Byron. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's right. I'm like, wow.
But they paint it as like, yeah, it's just, we're all kind of doing our thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're all a little poly there.
Oh yeah. But they're just a bunch of aristocrats doing drugs in this giant mansion, writing books and...
Yeah. So he goes there and he's like, look, I need to talk to you about your novel that you're writing that you haven't told anyone about. And at no point is she like, if I'm talking to you, right?
Yeah.
Someone comes in. Fucking Yaphet Kotto, someone else from Alien comes in. And Yaphet Kotto's like, Tony, I really love that movie you're making, Speed 3 Moonroof. It's about a rocket ship that's headed toward the moon and it can't stop. Anyway, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, wow, I just came up with that idea this morning and I didn't tell anyone. I would be like, hey, Joe, call the police.
Well,
Yaphet Kotto.
I wouldn't. I'd be like, Yaphet Kotto's here.
I think I'm being stalked by Yaphet Kotto. He knows a lot about me. But instead, she's like, oh, how do you know about that book? Anyway, let me tell you more about it.
Well, she's just like again, she's just like a naive young girl.
But don't worry. No one's willing to help him.
No.
John Hurt has a plan. Joe Buchanan has a plan.
He literally tries to force her to read this. He prints...
No, not that. You're skipping ahead.
Oh, okay, sorry.
He has a plan to save the girl. Do you remember what his plan is? Now, this is a man of science. A very smart man. A man who thinks of things.
Oh, like, yeah.
His plan is to...
Get her.
Yeah, to just run up to the hangman's thing and just grab her and be like, get away from me, get away from me. And it goes about as well as you'd expect. They beat the shit out of him. And it's actually pretty brutal. He's being dragged away, he looks back, and she gets hung, and it's brutal.
Dude, he's interrupting a public execution. I'm surprised they didn't kill him, like, right there.
Yeah, they throw him in the water. Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But it's like, what the fuck? Like that? What was this plot line of him trying to save this girl?
He just saw Lord Byron had like a musket or something, right? Like, I don't know, he could have went in there armed or something. I think he pushes a priest out of the way at one point.
Yeah, he wields an axe, and then they just throw him. At no point does anyone go, who the fuck is that guy? Get him out of here. Like, no, we gotta throw him in the water.
Well, yeah. You do.
I think he has another dream, yes. He has another dream. This time it's in... Is this one in the future, or is this one where he... No, this is in the future, I think.
Yeah, this is where he's dressed as Bela Lugosi, and he cuts his own leg off with a laser?
I think so, yeah. And the Grim Reaper's like, you did this. And the Grim Reaper's probably right.
Yeah.
So yeah, then he goes back to Mary Shelley, I think. And he takes her for a ride in his car.
She's totally nonplussed by this.
Your horseless carriage.
And Baby's like, I'm not a carriage, I'm a car, thanks.
And she's like, what's a car? It's like, all right, well, okay, so automobiles, the assembly line. You guys want to remember that assembly line. If you can get on that before most people, you're going to be in really good shape. Yeah, so he's driving around town in front of everyone.
Wouldn't they fucking freak out? Like, start throwing pitchforks at it, or being like, that's magic, or whatever?
I'm trying to think, like, what could like a hovercraft, maybe. If I saw a hovercraft on the road,
dude, it's 41?
Yeah.
There is a...
No, you know what? I'm trained to prepare for a hovercraft. I couldn't even comprehend... I would not be able to comprehend a car.
There's not even, like, any type of automobile whatsoever. Not
like
yet.
Combustible engines?
No.
Well, actually, this car's probably solar or something.
Well, is there trains yet? Yeah, there's steam.
There's trains.
Yeah.
There's steam, yeah. Okay. But yeah, like, he's just driving about town, and then he goes, by the way, here's your book.
He has the car printed out of the glove box. And Baby's just like, here you go, here's your whole book, front to back. Enjoy.
I was so glad she didn't take the book. Because I'm like, fuck you, because that would cause a paradox.
Well, exactly, but it's already happening because she didn't write it yet.
Yes, but if she just copied everything from that printout, then that means no one would have created the story in the first place.
But the story has been changed forever now.
Yeah. Oh,
she's not gonna write the same story.
And then I like gasped at this next scene, and I had to text you right away. From out of nowhere. Okay, the whole movie I'm thinking he's just like, he's impressed by her because he knows that she's this brilliant mind and she's being flattered, and I thought he's like, you're smart beyond your years and stuff. I'm like, oh, well, I would probably be impressed if I went back in time and met like a famous figure.
Sure.
Especially, she like basically created the science fiction genre.
Well,
I mean, did credit it, like, who knows? Yeah. Instead, he's trying to fuck her, and he succeeds.
Mary, you amaze me. You live in the 19th century, and yet you understand the future infinitely better than I do.
I wish I did.
They make out, and I went... I was like, what? I'm like, there's a romance here?
That was his whole plan from the beginning. When he saw her the first time, he's like, oh, Mary Shelley.
I could not... By the way, you're from 2031. She's from, like, the 1800s. I hope you brought a condom back with you.
Is he his own great-grandfather?
I don't
You think?
Elizabeth is going to meet Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
And Frankenstein's monster chases after her.
Dude, he runs down a carriage.
Why is he...
He's galloping.
So is he trying to mimic the horse?
I don't know, but he's really fast. I'll give
is
him
that his animal ape-like instinct?
He's doing some Lon Chaney. That's what he's doing, man.
I couldn't like. It's like, hey, why don't you use your arms to swing a little bit? Like, I know he's a monster and stuff, but even toddlers have this figured out. If I swing my arms, I go faster.
Dude, he T-1000's like up to this carriage.
Yeah.
And like jumps on the back of it. And you think he's just gonna like grab her off or whatever. He like disappears under it.
Yeah.
Like the Headless Horseman, and like pops up in the front and chokes these two horses out and like stops the carriage. Ridiculous.
Frankenstein punches a hole in her chest.
Yeah, because he like gets revenge on
because we
Raul
totally
Julia.
forgot. This is the classic thing where he wants a mate.
Sure.
And Frankenstein refuses to give him a mate.
He's like, okay, I'll kill yours.
My favorite part is, John Hurt pulls up in his car, gets out, they talk. They hear Elizabeth screaming in the distance.
Yeah.
And then they run to save her. They don't take the car.
No.
The car, which is infinitely faster.
You can just run the monster down, right?
You can just run the monster down.
Get there in time to save her from being ripped open like a fortune cookie?
John Hurt is like, he could probably figure out a million ways to kill that goddamn monster. And he probably has something in the car that could kill that goddamn...
But it's not even on his mind.
I forgot to write down what he said, but he looks at his wife, he's like, huh?
Oh, again, completely nonplussed. He's just like, hell of a thing.
Yeah.
Well...
A human being is no match for my creature. We are not very well made, you know. Our eyes are poor. Our limbs use muscles to the disadvantage of both. I have made wonderful improvements.
If I found my girlfriend dead tonight,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, Joe. So it turns out, like, apparently humans can't fall down the stairs.
But it's okay, because I'm gonna give her four different eyes in one.
4 different
he is convinced that I feel like he's perfected the whole bringing the dead back to life thing. So he's like, yeah, it's fine. With the power of John Hurt, I'm gonna make this. So he's gonna bring her back to life.
Yeah. He's telling the monster it'll be his mate, but he's in it for his own personal
just for help. Yeah.
So how do they get enough energy to power this? They got to use the car and a bell tower and lightning that goes to the car, and I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
When it hits 88 miles per hour,
you're gonna see some
serious shit, dude.
Her wife's gonna come back to life.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like, what? I'm like, this is too on the nose.
Now all of a sudden, like, just because Raul Julia's like gonna make the monster a mate, he's automatically like his like servant. He's like grab John Hurt. We need him in his car.
He does the Igor role. And then like Frankenstein is like talking to the car, and I'm like, hey, hook him up with the car.
That's such a good exchange though, because he's like, did you make that car? He's like, yeah, shut up, I'm asking it something. And he's like, is it human? And he's like, no, what are you, fucking stupid?
Yeah, so then he goes up to the tower to help, and then he's like, who made you? He said, also Victor. And then I wrote this line down. So he asks John Hurt, who made you?
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't know. God, maybe. And I'm like, why? I'm going to ask you a question, Joe. Joe, who made you?
God, maybe.
No. ask me, and I'm going to give you like the right answer.
Who made you?
My parents.
Oh.
My parents got together.
Biology.
Yeah, biology. And when a man loves a woman, like, and that's all he had to say to him. He's like, my parents. And then you can explain parents. And instead he goes, God. And then he's like, who is God? I'm like, Joe, this monster has the brain of a child.
But he's not supposed to.
Well, I know, but like,
and we'll get to that.
He's really having trouble grasping things. I feel like just explaining biology to him might be a little bit easier than, okay, so there's this mystical person that varies depending on what religion. Sure. Oh, you know what religion is? Okay, so religion is, and you're just gonna go down the list.
Right. Well, John's trying to like bypass all that because he's getting the monster to help him because he's devised a way to make a Buchanan out of baby. Yeah. So he's like, yeah, whatever, God or whatever. He's like, go ask Victor, and he's like, okay, I will.
Driven you insane. Oh, have they now? Well, I can live with pain, and I can live with guilt.
Subdue him. It is Elizabeth I cannot live without.
I would give anything for just like a normal Frankenstein movie with Raul Julia. Like,
he's so good. Like,
he's so good.
He would be really excellent, and well, we can get to it at the end.
Yeah, but like, I'm watching this and I'm like, why couldn't you have just done a regular Frankenstein movie?
I don't know.
Now I'm mad that Kenneth Branagh, that dick, casted himself in his version and not Raul Julia.
Oh my god, no, he did not. Dude, I haven't seen that in forever. The
Kenneth Branagh one?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on Amazon Prime.
Check it out.
I almost did that one.
Yeah.
Me and Newt were gonna do that, but then I wanted, if we're gonna do that, we have to do both Dracula and Frankenstein because. Sure. The funny connection and then disconnection.
Yeah. Well, what if it's Raul Julia and he's Frankenstein, but it's Spain instead of Switzerland?
Yeah,
that would have been cool.
Yeah, I don't even care where.
I don't know, but that would have been neat.
I can get over the accent. I just want to see Raul Julia going like monologues about life and death.
Well, that too. But
instead, he takes a back seat to some time traveling vessel.
Who doesn't know the repercussions of any of his actions?
Yeah, and I'm also bad. Okay, so I don't know if most people know this. I think in the book they never explain how Victor brought the thing back to life. That, like, the electricity and stuff, that I don't think that's actually in the book.
I can't remember. The way that I took it away, and I go into this more on our episode, but like the short version is like I always thought that the way that it plays in the book is that Frankenstein is kind of like his split personality.
Yeah.
The way that it like murders everybody and like nobody actually sees it, and anytime that somebody does see it, they don't live long enough to tell anybody else. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
But I think in terms of like how it's created, I think they do stitch bodies together.
Sure.
But I think from what I remember of the book, and it's been a very long time when I spilled hot chocolate on this, I don't think they actually get into the whole lightning bolt stuff. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm going to cut out this whole section.
That's fine.
But yeah, so one thing that is stuck from the original movie in most versions is the electricity.
That's like the big one.
That's like the big one. Yeah. And then the other big one is it's alive.
Yeah.
And I was so ready for Raul Julia to say it's alive, and then he didn't.
And ham it up. Instead, he's just like, yep, I did it again.
She goes, she lives. And I'm like, oh.
But there's no panache at all.
I know.
I guess that's what I'm saying when I was like, he's just kind of sleeping through this, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's one way to do it. Like, I'm fine with, like, not the, ah!
But he should have turned on that Gomez.
I wanted one, it's alive! Then again, you know what? This is his second rodeo. We didn't see the first rodeo. With him.
True. Oh yeah,
Maybe
right. That's when he freaked out. He's like, it's old hat now.
So while the electricity is bringing her back to life and they're flipping switches and stuff, John Hurt's like, I got you, Frankenstein. I'm gonna shoot another hole in space and time. Frankenstein should have been like, why? And then he blows up everything.
Well, he goes, he holds him at gunpoint.
Yeah.
And he's like, fix it. And he's like, I can't now.
Yeah.
And he's like, well then, damn you. And then fucking John, instead of just like transporting himself, the whole castle.
Yes.
Gets transported to the future.
Yeah, he gets sent to the future, the dystopian future we saw in the beginning of the. So it turns out it did work though. Elizabeth is alive.
Yeah.
And okay, we saw her alive. She hasn't been dead long. We saw that she just had a hole in her chest. Look, I'll give that he had to shave the head and put the discs in for the electricity.
That has to be prerequisite.
I'll give that. Are you telling me her eyes decayed to the point he had to stitch them and then put thumbs on her pinkies?
Well, you have to match the other one. It's a set.
I'm like, what the fuck were wrong with her hands? What were wrong with her hands?
And then we find out that he brings her back to life for him. Yeah. Not the monster. Yeah. Like, why the fuck are you giving her extra thumbs?
So
later.
Yeah,
that's
so
what they're for.
The monster's all like, oh man, she's into me. And it goes how it usually goes.
Yeah.
And then she sees Victor and she's like, oh, and he's like, come to me. And then he goes to shoot the monster, and I guess she decides she wants to be dead, and she grabs the gun and kills herself.
It's that we belong dead kind of thing.
But we don't even get to see her have that revelation. She's like, oh, Victor. No, wait, I want to die.
In a movie called Frankenstein Unbound.
Yeah.
It sure is bound very tightly because we're fucking going through this.
Yeah. So then the monster gets pissed at Victor, and he breaks his back like, not even like Bane.
Dude, he brings him out.
He lifts him up like Bane, and then just snaps him in half, and then tosses him. And then, Raul Julia is like, you have to kill the monster. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, look, this is a different world we're in now.
Exactly.
I don't think this zombie running around is anyone's problem.
John didn't give a shit before. Why does he care now?
I don't know. So John Hurt goes to look for him. Everyone's dead, basically. And he finds, like, a bunker. This bunker with, like, it's his old lab, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well... Yeah.
Okay. It recognizes him. It knows his name.
It's like, Mr. Buchanan, so good to see you. It's like baby in a lab.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he gets in the lab and he's like, oh, all these machines work, and the monster breaks through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man for some reason. I don't know how or why.
Meanwhile, John Hurt's like just talking and like touching things, and it all recognizes him, and all the shit turns on, and the lasers and stuff.
The monster breaks into the thing. He's like, this lab is the brain for a city not too far. Right? He says it's like the brain or the power.
All of a sudden he becomes like philosophical.
Yeah, but he's like, this whole thing powers the last city. The last bastion of humanity.
Epcot Center.
Yeah, pretty much. And then John Hurt's like, wow, there's a zombie. I need to destroy the power source for the last city alive because I have to kill Frankenstein's monster.
Wait a second. That's what happens? I've watched this movie 3 times.
So I remember the monster saying, like,
this is the brain of the great city beyond. The last refuge of mankind.
And then John Hurt just starts breaking shit.
To kill this monster for no reason. Like, he doesn't even have to, because it's like...
Yeah, I'm thinking, like, I get why Victor wanted the thing dead so much, but, like... John Hurt, why do you could probably teach this thing.
Right.
There's not many people around for it to kill.
Not only that, but like, it's at home now, because it's like, look, this huge frozen wasteland, like...
Yeah, the monster actually likes it. He's like, hey, there's a city. He could have went there, and he's like, yeah, but I kind of like it here. And John Hurt's like, you need to die. And it's like, why? I think it's fine. Like, he just... you know, he can live here.
He doesn't want to
come back. You can come back once in a while, give him some like tips and whatnot. Like, hey, so you know, if you ever meet a person, don't punch their heart out. And
well, not only that, then you have like this muscular monster thing to do all your bidding as well, and you can play cards with it and shit.
Exactly.
It's a dystopian. Nobody's around.
Yeah. And then he like shoots his arm off. And then it's actually pretty badass. The monster rips off the arm and just starts beating John Hurt with his broken arm. And then, can you explain this to me?
No. I already don't even... anything you say, no. But I'll try my best.
I think you may have paid attention to this movie more than me. John Hurt starts clapping, and all the lasers are apparently on the clapper.
Yes. That is future technology.
Wait, was that established earlier?
No.
Because he just starts going like this and lasers shoot, and he's like, ah.
He controls it with his hands.
Okay.
Somehow. Again, like, the lab responds to him in almost like I think like a biological way, and in like an auditory way.
So he didn't have to look at a manual or anything? He just goes, I bet if I clap lasers...
Well, he's so smart. He's a scientist, you know?
So he starts clapping.
And he's like, just start shooting the monster.
Pew, pew, pew. And then the monster's like, you can't kill me. And then he dies.
Yeah.
Along with, I assume, the hope of humanity. He leaves the lab. And the monster is suddenly, like, in his head.
You think you have killed me, but I am with you forever. I am unbound.
Nobody knows what the fuck that means, dude.
I still haven't really figured out what it means.
Because whatever that through line was in the book is not in this film.
So then John Hurt's like, well, let me go to the last city. And all I'm thinking about is like, the last of humanity's in this city. Their power just turned off. And they're like, what the fuck? What's going on? He's going to show up. He's like, hello, I'm famous scientist Joe Buchanan. They're going to be like, the guy who destroyed the world, let's kill him. And it's supposed to be like a happy ending. He's walking to the city, like, you're getting freaking murdered.
Probably. I mean, it's one of those things, too, where, you know, that Joe Buchanan is dead. Is, like, long dead from that future. Oh, I guess. I don't know. They don't really establish
I don't think
how long after it is after he creates the Buchanan.
If you're responsible for destroying the universe, I think people stop naming their kids after you. Like, keep it here, you know?
I'm, George Buchanan.
Let me know how many Adolf Hitlers you find in the phone book.
Oh, yeah.
Let me know if you see any Joseph Stalins in the phone book.
No.
Phone books were a thing. No, anyway.
Well, he transcends time and space anyway.
Yeah.
So, let's get real.
So, like, it ends on this... most Frankenstein stories end on a downer.
Sure.
But this ends on, like, a needless down. Like, this particular story didn't need to be this much of a downer.
Why did we have to go to the future? At all? Why didn't they just all explode from the car overloading or something? I
forgot. The monster's like, what am I? And he's like, you're an abomination. And he goes, what are you? And he's like, I am Frankenstein. And I'm like, what? And I want it to be like, John, the monster doesn't understand metaphors and stuff. You're confusing him in his last seconds of life.
The monster didn't read the book, man. All right?
No, but the monster's going to be like, you're not Victor. Why? I don't understand. Are there two? Like, he's
Can you break this down for me again?
Before you kill me with lasers, you're not Victor, right?
Who is God, maybe?
No, it's like a thing, like I'm like his. Oh my god.
Anyway. I'm lasers, forget it.
So anyway,
you're dead.
Frankenstein Unbound.
Yes.
I love this movie. I think it's pretty good.
I was a lot less harsh on it this go round. If you listen to that episode that we did, I wasn't happy with it at all. And to be honest, it's not a bad movie. Like, it's fine. If anything, it's just a little boring in some spots.
Yeah, that whole we gotta save that chick no one cares about storyline was pretty bad.
Did not need it at all. Especially, like, again, here's a guy who just doesn't give a shit about, like, messing up time or the past or anything, and now all of a sudden he's got to save this young woman.
That's the problem. The main character is very unlikable. No matter how good the actor is, the main character sucks.
Yeah.
He's just not very likable. He's like the goddamn scientist in Prometheus. Like, you just hate them. You hate them. Like, you guys are idiots, and it's not fun to watch you.
At the end of Prometheus, you want Wayland to get his head fucking bashed in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, my God. But actually, this is called Talking Out Tapes. Let me see this tape here. Really love the cover.
It's a good cover. I mean, it's Roger Corman, right?
Oh, my God.
What?
This quote.
What does it say?
So never trust a review by David Sheehan from KNBC TV Los Angeles. You ready for this?
Go ahead.
A monster movie for the thinking person.
Huh?
I'm a thinking person. Is he saying like a thinking person's gonna have a really good time pointing out all the flaws in this movie?
I guess so.
In that case, he's right. I'm trying to imagine like you go to, because this movie didn't do well.
No. Oh my God, dude. What is it? It was like 11 million, and it brought in 350,000 at the box office?
Yeah, yeah. I'm guessing Raul was happy he got Addams Family the next year. He's like, oh good, everyone forgot about that.
Yeah.
But imagine like going to the video store and like, oh, Frankenstein Unbound. Oh, I like Frankenstein.
I remember seeing that in the video store, and for the longest time I confused it with the De Niro one.
Oh.
So I would see that and be like, oh, that's the one with Robert De Niro, right?
Yeah. No, you know they're different when you see...
Well...
re-examines the classic Frankenstein tale through time travel. Right? Depending on how old I am and what mood I am in, if I'm in a video store and I see that, I either go, oh, I gotta watch that shit, or I go, nah,
well,
I'm good.
Look, it sounds like trash, and you want to watch it because it sounds like trash.
Yes.
And it's like one of those things where it's like, the classic examines the classic Frankenstein tale with time travel. It's suggesting that Frankenstein was a real thing and Mary Shelley wrote the book off of real accounts.
Yeah, it's weird. It's only 86 minutes, though.
Yeah.
And
it's a breeze.
And of course, I watched this the way it was intended to be watched. VHS rip that you gave me, and I watched it on my 4K 60-inch TV.
There you go, man.
That's how I've been watching movies lately.
It's beautiful.
I've been watching VHS rips. I got this nice big HD TV. And whoever made it, not the person who actually assembled it, that was probably a horrible sweatshop. Yeah. But whoever designed the TV was like, man, this TV, someone's going to buy a 4K Blu-ray player. They're going to play their 4K Blu-ray of Tammy and the T-Rex that their friend Joe got them. And instead, I'm like, all right, I got a 4K TV. Let's watch Frankenstein Unbound like an asshole.
I love it, dude. Also, it's surprisingly, I think we talked about this. This movie was on Tubi for a little while.
It was?
I think so.
Yeah. I would like to watch it in, like, HD.
I don't know if it exists in HD.
Oh.
I think there's only a DVD rip, which is probably a VHS rip to DVD, because that's how they were doing it, you know.
I mean, there's a lot of shit. Like, a lot of Roger Corman stuff has been transferred to Blu-ray through Screen Factory and Shout Factory.
Is this one of them?
Except for Carnosaur, because that wasn't it. That's a whole long story.
That's like a new
Listen
Horizons
to my Carnosaur
thing.
commentary track where I talk about how I tried to get the rights to Carnosaur and could not get backing.
Do you know how bad I wish that happened?
I really wish.
When you told me about that, I was so excited.
Do you know how bad I wished it happened? I don't think you, however disappointed you are.
He calls me up.
I'm like, hey.
He calls me up and he's like, do you want to make some dinosaurs? I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, hey, look, I think I have a financial backer. Look, I'm not going to name names. Let's just say I only know one CEO of a media company. And they were not interested in rebooting Carnosaur.
Carnivore, dude.
I wanted to either reboot it or do a fourth. Hey, we're getting into Carnosaur.
Sure.
Anyway, so Joe.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about your podcast.
About my podcast. Okay.
Yes.
Myself and my two co-hosts, Sean O'Rourke and Connor McGraw, we rummage through cinema's garbage.
Yes.
For the mostly good, sometimes bad, and a little awful, god-awful sometimes. Not all the time.
You did Dungeon Master recently.
Oh, we did. What a trip, dude. Love that flick.
You know what Joe Buchanan needed? What's it called?
Excalibrate.
Excalibrate.
When we talk about that on the episode, if like the Buchanan versus Excalibrate.
Yeah, I think that's what finally did it. Where I'm like, okay, I gotta review Frankenstein Unbound.
If Excalibrate can defeat the powers of hell and Richard Mole, I think it could defeat the Buchanan.
The podcast is really great. I was in the Pumpkinhead 2 episode.
Oh yeah, very apropos and festive.
We still need to play the Pumpkinhead 2 game.
Yes.
We were going to, and then the world turned on. Joe Buchanan fired his ray.
He's always fucking it up, dude.
He fucked it up.
That's what he did. So so Joe Buchanan is the mastermind behind why we're doing Frankenstein Unbound now.
Yes, he went back to he traveled back in time to the Andromeda strain and brought the virus back.
He stopped us from doing Wishmaster and was like, "You're going to do Frankenstein Unbound again."
We were supposed to do Wishmaster 3, but the Buchanan ray stopped Kieran from doing Wishmaster 2 with me.
Made me forget.
Yes. But anyway, I think the good way to close this off is to, let's just skip to the end of this book. I'm going to skip to the end and read this famous book to you. And let's
the famous ending?
Yeah, let me read this famous ending to
you.
Okay, this is just the last thing. He sprang from the cabin window, and as he said this upon the ice raft which lay close to the vessel, he was soon borne away by the waves and lost in darkness and distance. Oh wait, there's an epilogue. This book didn't have an epilogue at the beginning. Here we go. Hey guys, thanks for reading my book. Make sure to leave me a really good review on the local post and share it with your friends. This is your girl, Mary. Warning, I recently slept with a time traveler named Joe Buchanan. He destroyed the fabric of space-time. I had to make up the ending of this book because I don't know where Victor Frankenstein, his monster, Joe, or Elizabeth went. As far as I can tell, they went to a cabin and it blinked out of existence. If you're reading this in the future, please kill anyone with the name Joe Buchanan. They're a threat to humanity. Make sure to like my OnlyFans.
Oh, no.
My OnlyFans. She said make sure to like my
Oh, wait, there it is.
She specifically said, by the way, I had a vision. A time rift opened up, and I saw someone in the computer checking out onlyfans.com/hackthemovies, and it looked pretty good. I don't know what the internet or a computer is, but you should check that out. It's only $4.99 a month.
Oh, wait. What? It also says something right here.
Yeah.
It says, if you want the other exploits of John Hurt's Buchanan, check out the Movie Dumpster podcast.
Oh, Movie Dumpster.
Did you see that? Look.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's another one. I'm not sure what a podcast is, but I time slipped into some guy named Tony's car, and he was listening to something called Movie Podcast, and he mentioned that scientist I told you to kill earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. It's all there.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. She shared all these links, not realizing what they were. Wow, there's a really good ending to that book. I was kind of half and half on this book, but now I really like it.
It's pretty powerful.
Yeah, so listen to Mary Shelley. This is the show and your podcast are approved by Mary Shelley herself. And
all thanks to John Hurt.
Hey, unlike John Hurt, I'm not making up bullshit. Bye, everyone.